Hello, and welcome back to Light and Shadows, our game of Symbaroum here on Restless Barbarian. I am your game master, Aloysius. Um, Eventful week last week, and
Definitely.
but before we get into that, I'll have my lovely players reintroduce themselves.
Well, hello. I'm Jeffrey, and I'm playing Kriven the Lanru, the Changeling Duelist, and certainly feeling very aware of their mentality right at the moment.
Hey, I'm Bolthra. I'm playing Willow Grimsbane, a barbarian witch, and yeah, she's feeling like hopefully this isn't the end of the road. We didn't find that damn Twilight Thistle yet.
Yep. Well, we'll see if the party ends up at finding that Twilight Thistle.
This feeling like right before they kill us, I go, "Oh, were you looking for this?"
It's like, oh, here
They're
you
all
were,
over.
Why, yes!
It's like, yeah, oh, I'm dead. Anyway, where last we left off the party, they had just freed a large lindworm from her prison and had since parted ways, heading to various directions. The lindworm seeming to seek out the Gaoya barbarian tribe, whereas the adventuring party continued northeast to look for the fabled Twilight Thistle. There was also some tension with Kriven and Grendel. Little tension there.
What?
Little tiny bit. And I managed to venture further into the depths of Dark Davokar, where, unfortunately, their companion Secundero was absconded with from the camp, and they ended up finding his body with his throat slit and several perforations to his torso. And while doing their best to remain on guard, they still managed to this group of masked assailants managed to get the drop on them. And one of them walked up to Kriven and revealed their face to show them that this individual looks a lot like Kriven's original human form, had they continued to grow up without their changeling abilities. And that is where we left off.
And just to clarify, you said that they had, or at least one figure had worn a mask. Is it possible to see if the others are wearing a mask? Or
sort of like glancing your eyes around without making too many sudden movements, it appears that they all do appear to be wearing masks, yes.
Okay. And do these at all look familiar or reminiscent of the type that the Godinia barbarian tribe would be wearing?
Across barbarian tribes, masks are a pretty prominent thing. It does not look Godinia specifically or anything like that. It doesn't really look inherently like any one barbarian tribe. It looks like it's sort of doing its own adjacent thing.
Gotcha. Okay, good to know. Yeah, Kriven's just gonna stay still, hold arms, has bow in hand, and just is waiting for any further instruction or whatever else is going to happen.
And the individual standing in front of you says, "Don't try anything funny. Follow us, and maybe you won't end up like your friend over there."
I wasn't planning on it.
Good. Smarter than him, then. And the figure sort of like sheaths their blades and puts the mask back on, and sort of like snaps to the others and starts walking further into the woods. And you feel all of you sort of like feel the blades loosen around your throat a little, but you feel yourself being like shoved forward.
We haven't been bound or anything, right?
No, not currently bound, but you know, very much a vibe of "don't fuck with us" right now.
She shan't for the time being.
Mm-hmm.
So she's just looking around, trying to get a feeling for like where they are, kind of where, you know, like are they, you know, not quite, you know, memorizing how many steps from this place to this place or anything like that,
Mhm.
but just trying to get a layout of kind of where they're going. So
Yeah. You sort of hear, you can like vaguely hear the river in the distance, and it seems like you're moving sort of like perpendicular to it, more like northward.
okay.
And if you guys don't say anything, you guys sort of just walk for a while.
How is Ponder dealing with it all?
How's Ponder? Ponder's
Since
pretty
he's a lot
nervous.
bigger, I'm curious, do they have like 2 people on him, or how are they kind of handling him?
It appears that the like initially there was only like one person on him, but like after sort of like releasing the blade from all of your throats, it seems there are sort of like 2 people sort of like flanking him. So
Okay.
but yeah, he's looking a little nervous. Not, you know, definitely not a preferred situation he would be in.
Willow's doing her best to not look scared. So she's just trying to be cautious and just trying to just get a feel for everything so that maybe they can formulate a plan.
All right. Anything going through Criven's head as you're all walking?
Wade, no.
Yeah, no.
No, what happened?
Game over.
Thinking, trying to notice any landmarks or any distinguishing signs. Trying to take stock of like which direction they're heading and like anything noticeable as they go.
Okay. There's as you're walking, there aren't like too many like super noticeable landmarks. Aside from one tree, you do find it has sort of like a large forked split in it. And for a tree of this size, it's quite a sight to behold. That's really the only notable landmark that you come across, aside of, you know, sort of just like various little like shrubbery here and there that you might be able to make a note of, but nothing super distinguishable other than that.
Is the split look natural or maybe hit by lightning?
It does it look reminiscent of sort of like a lightning struck tree.
Okay. So there's a chance we could call down lightning. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a chance. There's always a chance.
Keep it in mind, Grendel. So I'm kidding. No, she doesn't say a word.
All right.
How is Grendel faring in all this?
sort of like if from the brief bit that you're able to like glance around, he looks like he's holding it together pretty well. You can tell that there's like a little bit of like nerves and like twitchiness sort of like in his eyes, with like how much his eyes are like slightly darting around here and there. But you can tell he's sort of like doing his best to like keep his shit together right now. And if you sort of like lock eyes for a moment, then he'll sort of just like try and like give a slight reassuring nod.
Yeah, I'll try to return the sentiment with a kind of like a nod and a smile sort of thing, but again, very discreet.
And all of you continue walking for what feels like maybe 30 to 40 minutes. It's a little difficult to tell. But eventually you come across a makeshift campsite with about anywhere from like 10 to 12 tents sort of like pitched up. Looks like sort of like canvas of some sort. Still very much like a temporary abode, but meant to be a bit more long term. And there's sort of like a large bonfire going at the moment, and you see several individuals sort of like going to and fro, but as you approach, there's maybe like 20 something individuals in this campsite that you see sort of just like moving about. But as soon as you all walk in, everyone sort of stops what they're doing and turn their attention to your group being escorted in. And not the individual who talked to you, Kriven, but a different individual sort of in the escort party that you're with addresses the rest of the campsite and shouts something to them in a language that you can't understand. And then they all sort of just like go back about their business.
They all wearing masks as well?
At the moment, it appears that they are not wearing masks.
Okay. Just the hunting party, as it were.
Yeah, just the hunting party, as it were.
Okay.
We're wearing masks, but the individuals around camp don't appear to be wearing masks.
Excuse me. Is it? There seem to be any children around, or like what is the? Is it like a? Or is this more like a war band? Or like, is there any signs that this is like a whole group? Or is this more militaristic? Like, what's the overall intent of this settlement?
As far as you can tell, there don't appear to be any children. Like maybe sort of like late adolescence, but you don't see any like outright like children or anything like that. So you gather this probably isn't like a full group or anything like that. You gather this is more like a sort of like hunting camp or outpost or something of that nature.
Right. Okay. So it's just a smaller piece, and there's another larger part of a larger group elsewhere. Okay. Most likely. Good to know. Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Willow's
sorry, go on.
I was just saying, Willow's just kind of looking around, maybe trying to pick out who might be the leader, if there seems to be one.
At the moment, because there's a lot of sort of like busy work going on, it's a bit difficult to tell who the leader might be.
We love the leader. So
Yeah, but
Lead me to your
I
leader.
say, yeah, but you gather that the individual who sort of like spoke up to the rest of the camp has at least like some authoritative position. You don't know if they're the leader outright, but you can tell like this person has some sway.
okay. She's gonna just remain quiet.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and you're all sort of led along a bit more to a sort of a tent, sort of like on the not the outskirts, but you know, a little separated from the sort of like the rest of the like main portion of the camp. And you see a couple. You see that same person who talked to the rest of the camp sort of like gesture to a few people, and those people sort of like split off and sort of like start following, and sort of like about 4 of them take up station outside this sort of tent, and you're all sort of just like led in and sort of like shoved into the tent.
Lovely.
She's gonna just look at whoever shoved her and just kind of, I guess, sit or whatever. If we're being commanded to sit or stand or whatever we're being commanded to do, she's gonna just cross her arms over her chest.
And the one who looked like Criven, after sort of like exchanging a few words with seemingly the head of the little escort group, says, "Wait here until we return for you." And they sort of just leave you all in this tent with a few individuals stationed outside for preventing any funny business.
Willow, in a low voice, is going to say to Criven, "What in the actual fuck? That guy has the same face as you."
Yeah. I don't know, but I don't like it.
Yeah, you don't like it. What are you part of these guys? I mean, is there something we don't know here?
Not that I'm aware of.
Oh, jeez. She's gonna look over at Grendel and ponder and see how they're doing.
Grendel is sort of like taking sort of like some deep inhales to sort of like calm and center himself, and ponders sort of just like, well, this is a position that I've definitely never been in. I'm not. What do we do? What are we supposed to do here?
I don't know. I think if they were going to kill us, they probably would have done so already. They don't seem like the type to mess around. Let's see what they want.
We anticipated we might run into the Blades. I don't suppose this is them.
Don't know. Let's see what they want and see if we can negotiate our way out of this. I don't know. And if she had a common language that she didn't think anyone else would speak, she would have probably said it in that. But yeah, other than that, yeah, she's just trying to calm down and awaiting.
All right. I sort of sit there for what feels like a while, and you see that individual who addressed the camp return, and they remove their mask, and their mask has sort of like a similar sort of like spine-like look coming out, but then it also appears to have sort of like jagged antlers adorned as a part of it. And they remove their mask, and when they remove their mask, you see a sort of like slender individual, sort of like long braided hair, and sort of like extremely long and accentuated ears, and sort of like dark steely eyes. And he addresses all of you, at first in a language that you can't understand, and then he says, "What are you all doing here?"
We are just humble foresters. We are on a quest for a mythical plant known as a twilight thistle. And we've become terribly lost and stumbled into, well, apparently territory that we should not set foot into. We apologize and we'll leave if you will allow that.
Why do you search for this thistle? For what purpose?
Player needs to pause for a second. Let's see.
We were sent to retrieve it. We're acting on behalf of someone who hired us to find it for its medicinal properties.
And what does this patron require it for? What is their intention?
That part was not disclosed to us.
No, they didn't tell us that. We're just to find it and return it. Simple harvesters.
There's nothing so simple about it.
Well,
if you think so, you are vastly over your head.
Well, if you allow me to ask a question.
Speak.
Does this twilight thistle even exist?
Yes.
We've found no hide nor hair of it, if you pardon the expression. I was beginning to wonder if we were on a fool's errand.
It is not meant to be easy to find.
What knowledge do you have of this twilight thistle? Have you seen it?
And why should I disclose this information to a bunch of intruders
that I don't
who
have
travel with an Ambrian? And then gestures and looks over at Grendel. Multiple Ambrians.
I'm afraid you have me at a loss there.
We don't question the heritage of our companions, merely rely on their skills to accomplish our task.
We have the Ambrians. They are not to enter any of Dark Davokar as a part of.
Well, forgive us our trespasses. I was unaware of this. I'm a denizen of the forest myself, but was unaware that these two were unallowed here.
And he sort of turns to look at Criven and says, "You are a child of the forest, yet you do have the reek of civilization upon you. Truly, you must have known at least some details of this agreement."
I am aware. It is true I am Ambrian born, but due to my recent development, I am no longer recognized or accepted in that society, and I've since found refuge and understanding amongst other denizens within the forest.
Admirable, I suppose. Well, I will have to discuss this further, but for now I will leave you. Do not try anything.
We promise to try nothing funny.
And he sort of commands the two at the front of the tent something in a language that you don't understand, and then turns
Let them
and
leave. So.
and then turn. You gather it's something akin to that. And then
push them. Oh, okay.
They got lucky this time.
Yeah, and then turns to leave the tent. And you are all left alone once again.
Okay. So Willow has just learned that definitely Ambrians are not permitted here. She did not understand any of that. She still doesn't give a shit about that. She's not, not gonna give in to these racist bastards.
Are you gonna snitch?
But realizes how bad this looks for them, but is still hoping that maybe there's a way out of this. But she doesn't know who's gonna be able to listen to what, so she's really kind of keeping her voice low and her opinions to herself.
That's tough for her.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, she's kind of biting her tongue.
Yes,
kind of,
very outspoken lady. That's for sure.
But she knows. Don't they've already killed one guy. Don't
give them an excuse to kill another.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Criven's just thinking through possibilities. Like running through possible scenarios. What happens if they have to make a run for it? What happens if they have to fight their way out? How many could Criven possibly preoccupy while the rest trying to make a break for it? How could they talk their way out of it? Just kind of like running through all these different scenarios.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Willow wants to get the attention of one of the guards. Are they staring right at us, or like are they standing outside, or what's?
All right. What's she gonna do to get their attention?
Yeah, cough loudly, kind of like, "Excuse me."
Okay. Neither of them turn to address you.
Hey, could we get some water or something in here? We've been in here a long time. It's been a long walk.
Again, there's no response.
We get water? I guess not. Okay. All right.
Can you understand us?
There is no response.
Do you sharpen your ears every night, or do they just naturally stay pointy?
Can we see their ears, or
Uh,
are you
you can
just throwing
see-
out a thought?
you can see their ears.
Yeah. Yeah, she says that in kind of a low voice, just as a test.
You do indeed see their ears, and they are both sort of like accentuated and pointed. But they do not respond to your racist remark.
Okay. Not really racist, more of just a remark, just grooming, so.
Okay.
Just a sharp statement.
Da-da-da. Okay.
Mm-hmm. A pointed one.
Very pointed statement.
Mm-hmm.
Try to pinpoint their accuracy on listening.
Yeah.
So,
Just can't help yourself.
nope. All right. So they're still ignoring us, so it doesn't matter
Yep,
what
they're
we
just
do.
they're just ignoring you.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right then.
Seemingly, they're ignoring you anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. She was gonna throw in a comment about their mother, but she's realized taunting them so far doesn't seem to have any effect. So
Yeah.
I should
And
taunt you a second time.
a little bit of time goes by, and an individual comes by. This one appears to be sort of like an elven woman, and she opens up the tent and points at Willow and says, "Come."
Sure. She just kind of shrugs her shoulders at the others and follows.
And she sort of like gestures you to start walking, and she leads you to another smaller tent. Sorry, I have a 2-year-old screaming for me right now. They sort of she walks you to a smaller tent, and there's sort of like a circular table set up with sort of like 2 makeshift stools, and she walks over to one and gestures you to sit at the other.
Okay. She sits.
And then she sits also, and then you see her put sort of like a small water skin on the table.
And she just kind of goes, "May I?"
Drink.
Sit up, takes a sip, puts it back down. Thank you.
Of what tribe do you hail?
I am of the Bayaga.
Quite a ways from home.
We're known for traveling.
I suppose that is fair enough. Typically, you do not travel this deeply, though.
Again, as I explained earlier to our host, we became tragically lost. Despite my best efforts to navigate, we just got turned around and unfortunately stumbled into your lands.
Why do you take this journey?
As a way to learn more.
Of what more do you want to learn of?
Of the ways of the forest and of myself, relying on my own skills to survive.
Admirable. Do you not hazard a guess as to what your benefactor wishes to do with this twilight thistle? If they were to get their hands on it.
I do not. I'm a young girl. I'm in need of money. I take jobs that involve going through the forest. What their purpose with it is not told to me, and nor did I ask.
Of what use is money to a child of the forest?
Well,
Ambrian coin should mean nothing to you.
the coin comes in handy for certain exchanges. Should I be forced to go into civilization?
It's good to see that you at least think things through. As far as I am aware, anyway.
I try to be careful with what I say and do.
What is your name?
My name is Willow Grimsbane.
A strong name.
Can I get a feeling if she is a magic user of sorts, and or a priestess, or is there any kind of vibe I can get off her?
For the hell of it, make a
Because she
resolute
asked my
roll.
name, so
Yeah. Make a resolute roll. Why not?
resolute roll. Okay. Let's see.
I'll give you a +2.
Awesome. My resolute was 15. I got a 9.
Okay. You do get a sense that she has some sort of affinity for magic.
Okay. May I ask your name?
You may call me Aharave.
It's a beautiful name.
I appreciate the sentiment. Tell me, out of curiosity, what path do you intend to follow, young witch?
Well, according to my character sheet, no. I fancy myself a healer, not a warrior. I intend to learn as much as I can of the natural ways, the old ways of healing and protecting people. If I can do so and become an old grandmother myself, and continue to teach others the same ways.
That is quite admirable sounding. And a path I can appreciate. By the sounds of it, you would make a good spiritualist.
Why, thank you.
We are done for now. I will escort you back to your associates.
Thank you.
And she walks you back, and you sort of actually, let me look at something real quick. I don't know why I'm talking like this.
I don't know why.
Make me a
You're going to a bad Italian accent.
I don't know. Mamma mia.
I'm from Brooklyn.
Make me a cunning check.
A cunning check. Let's see. I have a 10 in cunning, and I rolled a 10.
Okay. You gather, you sort of like pick up on the fact that when she's speaking with you one-on-one, sort of like as the conversation went on, she sort of like began to like soften up a bit, not let her guard down, but like soften a little bit. But then the two of you emerge from the tent, sort of like that steely expression ends up going up. And like as she walks you back, like once you get back to the tent, she shoves you in.
Thanks again for the water.
She says nothing and she leaves.
Are you alright?
Yeah, I'm fine. Just keep your story straight.
Then a little while later, a different individual comes by and points at Grendel and says, "Come along." And Grendel stands up and follows the individual out, and they you sort of like see as Grendel walks out, they sort of like clasp his shoulder and sort of like push him along. And a little bit of time goes by, maybe 20 odd minutes. Grendel's back and he's shoved back into the tent. You sort of like see he has sort of like a fresh cut on his cheek.
Seeing this, there was already anger for the death of the second arrow, but it's definitely like bubbling over again in Criven's stomach at the sight of the fresh cut. And Criven just kind of comes and like jumps up, and not in like a way that is like rushing to attack or anything, but just kind of like coming to like sort of separate and take Grendel further back into the tent and just glare at the individual that brought him back and took him away.
Yeah, basically as soon as Grendel's like pushed into the tent, the individual who came and brought him back is basically paying all of you no mind and departs. But as you sort of like rush forward, just instinctually, the two guards stationed out front sort of just like quickly glance in your direction to sort of like gauge your intent rapidly. And then as soon as they see that you're not sort of like rushing to charge them, they sort of like go back to their standing positions as you escort Grendel back into the tent.
Willow wants to look at his wound and see if she can see how bad it is.
Looking at it, it doesn't appear to be too terribly deep or anything. It's all things considered, it's a rather shallow cut.
She'll say, "Are you okay?"
I'll live. Apparently he didn't like the look of my shadow.
She'll just kind of pat him on the shoulder and kind of step back. He doesn't appear to have lost any hit points as far as I can tell.
Maybe one, but
a quick buff spell.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What were they interested in?
My name, what I was doing here, what the person we were working for once with the thistle. Asked me a couple personal questions, and then before bringing me back here, he gave me this.
Was the same for you, Willow?
Yeah, they want to know kind of why are we bringing the thistle back. Apparently there's some use for it that wasn't revealed to us, but... And she kind of stops there because she don't know who's listening.
This deal's getting worse all the time.
Oh, okay. You're still there. You were just frozen looking. So I'm like, well, let me stop right where I'm at. But sort of like seeing you sort of like rush to his side real quick, Grendel will sort of just like take your hand, Criven, and sort of just like give it like a soft squeeze and says, I'll be fine. But thank you.
Yeah, of course.
And a little while later, a hulking individual with extremely pronounced horns, sort of like spiraling up from their forehead and sort of like large tusks, comes and points at Ponder and says, "You with me." And Ponder hesitantly stands up and walks it forward, and sort of like as you can briefly see out of the tent, like once they're standing by each other, this individual is at least a foot taller than Ponder. And once again, another 20-odd minutes goes by, and this like large individual returns with Ponder and does not forcefully, but sort of like gently like sends Ponder into the tent and takes their leave.
How are you, Ponder?
No worse for wear.
Did they hurt you?
Not physically. I mean, it seems like he wanted to a few times, but he was more, I think, trying to intimidate me than anything.
Nobody intimidates Ponder.
Well, he was certainly trying.
Good man.
Then a little bit while later, Criven, the individual who bears a striking resemblance to you, shows up and sort of just like gestures it to you to follow him and says, "You know the drill."
It appears I do. Criven will stand up and follow.
Right. And he escorts you to a small tent, rather barren, small circular wooden table with two makeshift stools, and walks in and gestures for you to sit in one of them.
I'll take one.
All right. And he sits down as well and places a water skin on the table.
Criven will say thank you and take some water skin. Now that we're sitting, this individual looks like me if I had not begun developing as a changeling. So this individual is human?
This individual does appear human, yes, and does bear a pretty striking resemblance to your original human form. Had the features have been able to sort of like develop to their fullest, and they're sort of like curly hair is sort of like braided up in places, but by and large does bear a striking resemblance.
And how old is this individual?
About at a glance, you'd say probably like 19, give or take. Couldn't be older than 20.
So my age too.
Yep.
Okay. Criven finishes drinking some water and wipes the back of their hand across their mouth.
Yeah. And he takes the water skin and takes a swig from it as well, and sort of like caps it and then sets it down by his feet. Why are you taking this journey?
It's another job.
That's it?
Oh no. I'm hoping to learn a little bit more about myself and where I came from and all this.
What do you think your benefactor wants with the Twilight Thistle?
I'd only be able to make guesses.
That's all I'm asking for. Based off of your interaction with them.
Well, you yourself appear to be human. Are you also Ambrian born, or?
I was raised in the forest, but presumably I was Ambrian. Uncommon, but not entirely unheard of. Just uncommon.
And speak gorilla. So my guess is either a personal need that's only Twilight Thistle can remedy, whether it's for themselves or somebody they know or care about, or to develop into a product to be sold to make coin. It's typically why most Ambrians do anything.
He doesn't say anything to that, but he certainly acknowledges it. What's your name?
Criven de Landre.
What are you hoping to get out of all of this?
Answers.
Answers to what?
where I come from, who I come from, why I was left in Ambria, for what purpose. Meaning.
You seemed a bit surprised when you saw me.
And Criven will utilize their shape-shifting ability to mirror the appearance of this individual.
And, oh, sorry, go on.
And as doing so, could you take a guess as to why?
He doesn't like jump back or anything, but he does appear somewhat surprised and sort of like leans back a little bit, sort of like gauging you. And then sort of like leans back forward against the table. I honestly never thought we'd meet.
Who are you? And why is a human welcome in a band of elves?
I am you, and you are me. But you can call me Saza.
What do you mean by that exactly?
We love good cliffhanger right there.
Stoic, are we?
Long dramatic pause.
Yeah. All right. What was the last thing you heard?
Saza.
Okay. Okay, so you didn't miss anything. I just missed your reaction to it.
I asked, what do you mean by that? The I am you, you are me.
You're the one they swapped me with.
That doesn't make any sense. Why do we look so similar then?
Well, before changelings... Well, I'm not a changeling. I only know so much. But as far as I know, elves swap out human children, human infants, with changelings. And a changeling's job is to pass as long as possible. So I don't know exactly how it works, but they made you look like me. At least initially. What a surprise.
So Criven's just kind of turning this information over for a second. I guess in some strange way that kind of makes us cribmates.
In some strange way, I suppose it does.
I know that we're being held as your hostages, but would you be open to a more conversational approach?
That's not up for me to decide. I'm supposed to relay what you tell me and then consult with the others who talked to your associates. And then based off of our consensus, we'll decide what we're doing with you. So, as much as I would be curious about that, it's not a solely me decision.
Mm-hmm. Well, whatever we can do to prevent any other harm to ourselves, I think I can speak safely on behalf of all of us when we are quite interested in leaving here intact.
I imagine you would be. Do you have any questions for me?
Many. I imagine you might have some for me as well.
I'm sure I do. Let's start with you, though. Ask a question.
If you were raised out here, whom were your parents?
I had... Well, when they brought me in, I was given to foster parents who raised me. It was a dwarven couple, I believe.
Dwarven. Not elves.
No. It is predominantly an elven group, but not only elves worked with the Iron Pact.
In the stories that I was told, there's always an elf that would take the child for themselves.
Oh, I'm sure an elf was the one who traded us, shall we say. But if there was an elf in the rearing process, I was given up on relatively early that I can't recall. What was your life like? What was my birth parents? What were they like?
Well, kind, firm, proud, devout, mother would sing me to sleep as a child, and father first taught me how to use a blade. But when they first discovered what I was, I didn't really get a chance to see their reaction.
Were they scared of you?
I couldn't tell if they were more scared of me or scared for me.
For what it's worth, I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you.
I should return you to your acquaintances. And he sort of stands up from the stool.
Quick question. So this is the individual who also had blood on his blade, presumably from second arrow.
Presumably, yes.
As he's going to rise, I'll say, were you the one that killed our other companion?
That was not in the plan. And it's difficult to say exactly which wound killed him, but I did strike him, yes.
Why? Why did you drag him away?
We were trying to take him hostage, ask him questions. A few of my companions wanted to just kill him on the spot, but I tried to persuade them otherwise. But then he resisted fiercely and multiple times. He tried to attack my friends. So I had to stop him. I hope you can respect that, at least.
I am saddened and angered by his loss. And if the roles had been reversed, I can see myself taking the same actions. If what you say is true, and I have no reason not to believe you, I understand.
I apologize it had to come to that. But what's done is done.
I appreciate it.
And he sort of like holds open the flap of the tent and gestures for you to exit.
Mm-hmm. Craven will, without any further hesitation or stalling, will promptly follow.
Yeah, and he escorts you back to the tent, and he just holds the flap open for you, but he does not like move to like shove you inside the tent or anything like that. He just lets you walk in of your own volition.
Oh, and after we leave the tent, I like before we've left the tent. I would have reverted back to my usual form. Yeah.
Any gestures for you to rejoin your companions?
I'll step in.
All right. And he sort of like nods to the two guards and takes his leave.
Are you okay, Craven?
I'm all right for now.
Did they hurt you?
No. I think I've met my as he described it, my replacement. I think that's the individual that was swapped out for me.
What?
Yeah, we don't. You're gonna have to explain that to us.
Well, I'm born of elf, as you know, and sometimes elves will swap out a human-born. There's stories about swapping them out and taking them off to devour them in the woods and leaving their child in their place to grow up and be a spy. Normally told as seemed like a fairy tale at the time to scare children, but turns out it wasn't so much of a fable. And like many of the lies I've found, seems the take the child away to be devoured by the elves part was a bit of a fabrication as well, judging that this is the individual that was taken.
That feels like a hell of a coincidence.
Big forest, small world.
I agree. There's too much of a coincidence there.
I don't know what else it could possibly be. I did shift in front of him to see what his reaction would be. I thought perhaps maybe he was capable of doing something similar, but he did seem genuinely surprised.
Is it possible our patron sent you here to be found? That maybe the whole Twilight Thistle is just a ruse to send us this way.
What
But-
would...
Sorry. Go on,
No,
Crippen.
it's okay. You first.
While I can't disprove that potential theory, it more just raises a question as to why hire me and my group if her plan was for Criven to be found by these people, and how would she even know about their secret?
It seems there's just something else going on here.
I agree with that.
That you happen to run into in the huge forest. That your replacement. It's the gods mocking us or what, but I don't know. There's something else going on here. Whether or not they'll answer it for us, I don't know, but it's just got my suspicions raised.
Well, I was hoping, a fleeting hope, I thought, that I'd find out more about myself by venturing this deep in the forest, but to be honest, I didn't think I would be so lucky to strike gold on the first try.
Yeah.
Also, it seems that if there is anyone who would at all resemble any form of ally, the closest thing would be him, Saza. He claims he then kind of looks around and seems he was the most hesitant to resort to violence first against us.
Do you trust him?
I'm not sure, but it's
She'll look
Okay.
over. Oh, go ahead.
I didn't get the impression that he was lying or that there was anything to gain from doing so.
Ponder.
Yes.
How went your conversation with your match? Were they sympathetic? Were they aggressive to you? How went your conversation?
It was layered, I suppose. He was less than thrilled about me being so city focused, so collegiate and that sort of thing for an ogre. But he tried to be as empathetic as possible, both of us being giant kin, I suppose.
Is that what he is, a giant?
Well, he's a troll. We're like, well, not I specifically, but I guess we're like ogres and trolls. We're cousins in a way, like very tangentially related.
You're a genius.
I'm try.
She'll look over at Grindel. Apparently your conversation wasn't quite as friendly.
I mean, it started out that way. At least it seems like it started out that way. You know, as cordial as it could be. But I think he just wanted to soften me a little before hurting me, I guess.
I suspect they're looking for weaknesses in each of us, trying to determine our personalities. I think this is going to be used against us. I think they're going to attempt to divide us. She could just be a paranoid witch, but
Yeah.
that's kind of where Willow's going with this. Is we need to stand together.
I agree. I'm with you.
Agreed.
My host of honor was pretty transparent that after meeting with each of us that there'd be a larger deliberation on what to do with us. I suppose that's what we're waiting on to hear next.
Agreed. They seem to accept non-elves. Perhaps those who are used to them. I think we're each also being courted in a way to see of what use we could be to them. Before we're judged for our sins, or what they determine to be sins.
And Willow, would you say your conversation was amicable?
Oh, very, very. Very. My host was very encouraging. Perhaps in another life or another place, a mentor of sorts.
Are you being sarcastic?
Absolutely not. I believe I was being don't know what the fantasy equivalent of the word of interviewed would be, to determine my potential worth. All we can do now is wait to see
Brenda.
what they're.
Yeah.
Oh, forgive me.
Sorry, no, you go ahead.
She's done. So
Sorry, Willow. Did any mention of your capabilities come up in conversation?
Not directly, but he
He what? What? Damn it!
we love it. We love it so much. Not directly, though. When he slashed at me, he made comments alluding to potential abilities that I could do, meaning I assume he was able to at least some extent see my shadow.
It seems to me that we were matched with somebody who was on par with us or had a similarity to us in some respect.
it's amazing how keenly they knew each of us.
Offhand, I couldn't see any inherent similarities between my interrogator and I couldn't sense in a gram of magic off of him. But maybe he's used to dealing with mystics in some aspect.
My host was definitely a healer of sorts. Somehow they know more about us than I think they're telling us. Because how did they, aside from Ponder's size, know what the rest of us could do?
Do you think they've been watching us?
Definitely. I think they've been watching us longer than we think.
I agree.
They may have even been hurting us in this direction in order to get us close enough to their camp. Damn it, we've been used.
Seemed awful cagey about the Twilight Thistle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Certainly curious about what we intend to do with it if we were to get it.
Do you suppose... Well, I suppose anything's on the table at this point, but... We were told... I don't know if it's different for you, Grendel, that it has amazing restorative properties.
I was told much the same. That it was able to cure any disease or ailment.
If its purpose is purely restorative, I wonder why it would be so... Why would they interrogate us in that way? For what purpose were you sent to find it? Well, for the thing that it's most well known for.
Maybe they're worried that our benefactor is not going to use it for altruistic reasons.
Or even just once it's located, other parties will follow soon after.
That could also certainly be a factor that they're worried about.
They don't want more people coming in looking for it.
Because I know when it was first found, when Thistlehold was first established, it was a thing of rumors where exactly it was found, and even then it's the sparsest of information. It was a very closely kept secret. So they could be worried about it getting out as to where exactly it is. Maybe there's more than one place it can be located. And I don't know.
That'd be quite the thistle rush on their hands if more came looking for it.
Yes. I mean, it would be dangerously stupid for people to just come in here blindly looking for it, but I mean, I guess, isn't that what we're doing? And we made it this far.
I wonder if we were allowed to make it this far.
I wonder if we're even close to it.
All right, this is the part where we do the montage where we build our weapons and break out. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why we jailbreak.
like on the A team. So
Right. Some dynamic jazz music starts playing.
Yeah.
da 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 da.
It's like, all right, quick. We got like rocks and sticks. What can we make shift with these?
Did they
Like a
relieve us?
flamethrower.
Did they relieve us of our weapons?
They didn't. They did relieve you of your weapon.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
That leaves us limited.
Even took a young woman's staff. So.
Yes, even a young woman's staff, because they are not fools.
No, not my last book.
Oh, I needed that. It was my last in my library.
But
Do you
knowledge
know
is the
late-
greatest weapon anyone could have.
Do you know what late finds are like in Thistlehold? So.
No, my goblets.
No.
Sorry, Q. We're messing with Ponder.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you're not here. We are obligated to make fun of your PC.
Exactly. All right.
Yeah.
And
All that you really
building.
have in here is like bedrolls and stuff.
Okay.
Well, to replace the ones we lost.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Well, I think it's at least for Willow. She's just ready to wait and just see what happens next.
Yeah. Criven gets comfortable, as comfortable as possible.
The Wi-Fi sucks. So-
Yeah.
Oh man, it sucks ass out here. I don't even know why I bothered.
Using a finger, Criven just starts drawing out a game of X and O.
Yeah. Grendel fills in a circle.
X.
Circle.
X.
Circle.
Shit.
Who invented this game anyway?
Anyway, time goes by. A little time goes by. Indeterminate. It's hard to tell. But you gather it is day of some period of time when Saza comes back to the tent and says, "We have deliberated, and you are being allowed to roam the camp under intense watch, but you are not confined to this tent. You are also not permitted to leave.
May we have some food and water?
And he like holds the flap open and gestures out to you.
We got pizza, but no crazy bread.
I don't
We're still prisoners.
I don't know what this pizza is that you speak of.
Pizza.
What about calzone?
Calzone? We do have that. Thank you. For
Oh,
asking.
yeah.
How about chicken wings?
No.
Damn, there's no ranch. Savages. No. Okay.
You just got
Anyway.
turkey. It's not the same.
No,
Anyway, we got
just massive turkey legs. That's what you get. You don't get chicken nuggets or chicken wings or anything like that.
that's fine. We can, like big old like Conan sized.
Yeah, exactly. like the size, like the kind that they serve at Ren Fair.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. She's pretty hungry by now, so she's gonna walk over and just grab a plate and go through the buffet line, I guess. And just
There's a buffet. Oh, look, a buffet.
It's like,
sneeze guard on the thing.
Oh, the iron-packed buffet. Oh, to die for.
I've heard legends of it, but never thought I'd see it myself.
We've got a few Nachman runal paintings hung around.
Yeah, if they just like post them up on trees. Yeah, they just post them up on trees and stuff because they don't got walls because it's just big open space.
Is the salad bar included? I doubt it. That's where they get you.
Yeah.
Anyway. So she'll get some food.
I know I shouldn't, but I think I'll hit the dessert table first. How often does that get to happen?
Anyway, you're given some water and berries and some sort of meat that you don't know what it is.
Okay.
Oh, it is like a buffet.
It's kind of a tangy barbecue sauce to it.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Anyway.
So we sit down and eat our grub.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you're definitely getting a lot of side eye from many people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She will wipe her mouth with her arm. And okay, so we can wander about. But we're still prisoners. So we definitely have a use to them. Or they would have just killed us outright.
Right. And
Or at the very least, they're curious enough about us to not just get rid of us.
Something. So we have use to them. That's what we need to determine, is what is our use to them. And because once that's gone, then we're gone too.
I'm somewhat surprised they allowed us this much freedom.
It's just a bigger cage.
Right, but being able to look around, that is something. I don't suppose we're allowed to wander into any of the other tents.
Yeah, that's what is our host still there? Cesar or
Yeah. Saza is not like Saza is not he's not like hovering over you guys or anything like that, but he's sort of like
another plate.
Yeah. He's sort of like he's sort of like at a distance at the moment, but he's sort of like keeping an eye on you guys.
Okay. Yeah, because I'd be curious to check out some of the other tents and see what we can find.
I do believe Probably best to ask permission in that case. Yeah.
Okay. So she will ask, Sasa, where are we? Are we allowed to speak to others here in the camp?
You are not allowed to enter any residential tents, but
If the tents are rocking, don't come knocking. So.
exactly, yes,
Okay.
that is a rule that we have around camp. Yes.
Of course.
Yes,
Right.
Golden rule.
yes, everyone respects that rule, and if you don't, then you are killed on the spot. That's just unfortunately just how it goes.
Well, you can tell which ones are the residential by the Tudor style on the tents.
Of course.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
I mean, because this is just like basically a circular area, right? Isn't that's what I'm imagining, like a circular area with kind of a smaller section on to the right, I guess.
Yeah, more or less, it's like the communal space is sort of like in the center, and then the like personal / group tents are sort of like more on the outskirts a little bit, with your guys' designated tent sort of like on the based off of like where you are now, sort of like on the like sort of like westernmost outskirt.
Okay. So we can see the NPCs that we can walk up to and talk
yes,
to.
Yes, you can look at the mini map and you see all the exclamation point icons there, and so
Right.
It's like a
Talk to 5 villagers.
It's like a semi-permanent homestead, like a transportable residence area. There's got to be a shorter way to put that.
Yeah.
Mobile home park.
The home part, the home tents, the sleeping tents.
Question: do we see our counterparts? Are they visible at the moment?
You well, obviously Saza is Saza is sort of is just like right there. And then as for Aharave, you do see her sort of around, and you see like the big troll man sort of like way off in the distance, but you don't see the one who like came to talk to Grendel. So you see 3 of the 4 of them at least like around.
I wonder if there's any use in not into speaking, like to choosing a different person to speak to see what information we could get. Like, say I talked to the troll.
I think that makes sense.
Just see what the reaction is.
I could speak with the woman you spoke with. What was her name?
Lieutenant O'Hara. So terrible with names.
Aharave is
Aharave. Okay, yeah, I know it's like O'Hara, something like that. So
O'Hara, Organa.
Yeah, I think that would be worth. Worse, they're gonna tell us to fuck off, and we get nothing out of them. But it's just curious to see what we get out of them.
It'd probably be for fun content too.
Yeah, exactly.
On a meta level. Yeah.
So, okay. Then can Willow get to the troll, or would I be leaving the area?
You would probably be pushing it if you went to try and go and talk to the troll, because if he's not outside of like the camp limits, it looks like he's like on the border, so you might think you'd be pushing your luck a little bit if you would try to go that way.
Gotcha. Okay. Then I'll probably wait for him to wander back into our area then. But that's who Willow wants to talk to is the troll.
All right. He's sort of like doing. It appears to be doing like perimeter watch. Over the course of like 2 hours. Before he sort of finally comes back into camp and like switches out with somebody else.
Excuse me. She'll try to get his attention.
And he sort of like looks down at you, and comparatively, just size-wise, he is immensely intimidating, especially with the jagged curling horns and the massive tusks coming out from his lower jaw. What?
You're the first troll I've seen in many years. I'm not very old.
And where else have you seen a troll, little witch?
In the far eastern edges of the forest. I ran across one who was... They were kind of a assistant to a logging company. They were cutting down some trees at the edge of the forest, and it just seemed dangerous work to be doing anything at the edge of the forest, especially cutting down trees. So trolls must be very brave and very smart as well.
What do you want, little witch?
I was just curious what your role here was with the Iron Pact.
I am a warrior.
A very good one from what I can tell. Very strong. Who makes your armor?
Go away. And he just keeps walking.
Okay. Thank you for your time. I didn't get your name. I'm sorry.
You may learn it another time.
Okay.
Be more interesting next time. And he keeps walking.
All right. Yeah, and she'll leave. Okay. So. Okay. Apparently, we small green life healers aren't very interesting to him.
Oh, did you get the idea that what might interest him?
Fighting, glory. He's not directly happy here, I can tell. He seems restless.
Interesting. I think maybe after giving some time, I might try a pass at speaking with him, if that's all right with you.
Of course, yeah.
Not right now, though.
Yeah, no, he's rather irritated. So we got to let that hemorrhoid cool off a little bit.
I saw it. It practically looked right back at me.
Okay.
That loincloth really doesn't do as much work as it should.
Not at all.
No, he really needs to wear a longer one for sure.
You know, maybe that's something we could provide him, and maybe that would help him, relax a little bit.
Although, unfortunately, that's quite impressive. What?
Anyway, we should probably stop staring. I don't think he's going to appreciate that.
Okay. Yeah. So she's kind of done for now.
All right.
What's Aharave up to? Is she also eating or monitoring or?
She appears to at the moment she appears to be sort of like resting under one of the nearby trees, and one of the smaller trees, and she just appears to be writing.
I think I might go check in with your counterparts, Willow. I'll make my way over to where she sits.
All right.
Hello.
Sort of like looks up from you, from her reading, and up at
Just
you.
right over me. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, whoa, I'll just look in the sky right now.
Mm-hmm. So aloof.
Yep. And you notice it, like when you walk up to her, she like also has like some braided hair similar to many others around the camp, but she appears to at a closer look, she appears to have sort of like small like antler like branches sort of like sticking up out of her hair.
Do you mind if I sit with you for a bit?
If you wish.
Thank you. And thank you for... I trust you had a hand in our decision to allow us to roam beyond our tent.
I did speak positively of Willow, yes, which in turn reflected positively on the rest of you.
What are you working on?
I'm just journaling.
I used to journal myself. I miss it.
Why did you stop?
I had to leave home and just struggled to get back into it.
Oh, you won't get back into it until you get back into it.
Simple enough.
Otherwise, I imagine you'll just keep putting it off.
Suppose that's true. Where... You know why we're out here.
I do.
I'm curious to learn more about where I came from and, my birth kin. May I ask for what purpose you are all out here? It seems to be a bit more dedicated than a simple hunting party.
While we are a small hunting band, we act as a outpost of sorts for the Iron Pact, ensuring that Ambrians who have somehow managed to work their way this far into the forest are dealt with.
I have a feeling that you knew about our presence long before we knew about yours.
We have been keeping tabs. We honestly didn't think you would make it this far, and it ultimately proved time to intervene.
Willow mentioned that it seems you are also a practitioner of the arcane.
I am.
How does that knowledge get passed down? I've heard tales among the Godinia tribe, but certainly nothing, mostly speculation.
I imagine it's not entirely dissimilar. We do share some ties with the barbarian tribes. We are certainly more amicable with them than those outside the forest, and they have certainly taken influence from us. So I imagine that their method of teaching is not entirely dissimilar from ours.
And how well do you know Saza?
We're cordial, I suppose. Friendly enough.
Has he traveled with you for long? He and I look to be about the same age. Young.
He is a relatively new addition to this outpost. Joining about 6 of your months ago.
He seems quite capable.
I will give him that. He is certainly capable.
It seems that we both have a bit of shared history between the two of us.
Is that so?
I only know one side of the story as far as changelings go, but I'd be eager to learn more if you happen to have any knowledge or insights about individuals like me.
Perhaps. Though I imagine that's a topic of discussion for another time.
Well, I look forward to having that discussion. Thank you for your time.
Of course.
And Crippen will kind of like awkwardly kind of do just a inclination, just kind of an awkward stiff bow, not wanting to do like a full-on Ambrian sort of sign of respect.
Yeah.
Kind of sensing that would not be a very good idea to do, but also not knowing any customs. Haven't really witnessed them all interact with each other either, so I sense they're probably not so formal, but just something to indicate a respectfulness.
Yeah. And sort of like at your awkward gesture, she chuckles ever so slightly, and you sort of get like a soft smile out of her before she returns to journaling.
All right, I'll rejoin the group.
Sounds good.
Well, she seems I found a bit of that soft side to her that you mentioned, Willow.
Yeah. She's inquisitive, but guarded. Wants to learn more about you than she's willing to share, which I don't blame her. I feel the same way.
She seemed fairly forthcoming. I was expecting more resistance, but it was nice to have a bit of something that resembled a conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, they're going to be careful what they say to us. So, and again, I think we're playing the same game with them. So,
Nothing wrong with making it so that we're not seen as a threat and make friendships where we can.
I agree. So we can see exactly what they want with us.
And Grendel just says, well, like Willow said, I guess it's time we just settle in until we find out exactly what they want.
Agreed. My nerves are shot. And now this must be Turkey, because I think the tryptophan's starting to kick in.
It's actually a giant spider. So.
Oh no!
Oh
That's
no!
why there was 8 legs on it.
Spider person.
Anyway, I think we'll stop it there.
Okay. All right, that was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
The tension is building. So
It's like I'm so afraid of like, what can I ask? I'm definitely like poking the boundaries, but it's like,
that's what we got to do. Is we got to test our boundaries, and I think they're nudging us back when we maybe ask a little too much. So So we'll. What I'd like to do probably in the next episode is I want to talk to Zaza.
Seems like everybody has their own length of. This is about as much of you as I can tolerate.
Yeah, which is what I want to know. I want to know which ones can be negotiated with, not necessarily to see if we can gain any allies. If all we do is just piss them off, we're not gonna be valuable to them. So.
Yeah, there was one point when I broke out and briefly came back in, and I just heard Tom going "Sazah," and then it broke out again, and so that's all I heard, and I just started laughing so hard.
It's just fun to say "Sazah." All right. Well, thanks everybody for watching. We appreciate you joining us in the stream or watching us later on YouTube. Please be sure to give the video a like so that more people can help. We can help more people find this game and other games here on the channel. We have a couple more games coming up this week. Tomorrow night we have Werewolf Controlled Burn. A new episode of that, and Friday night we go back to River City for some vampire. So
for some DoorDash.
For some DoorDash, yes, I'm really looking forward to that. I think I just gave away everything you wanted to talk about. So
nailed it in one.
I won't ask for a plug. Jeffrey, anything you want to plug, advertise?
Yeah, follow on at JGiveLink Art on socials, and keep an eye out for we're doing a Call of Cthulhu.
Call of Cthulhu is coming up, and we're also playing Candela Obscura.
Yes, indeed.
Next week.
Is that next week already?
That is next week.
Coming up.
We have not officially revealed the name of the game yet, but look for some notes about that here on the channel this weekend. So that will be starting up next week. So lots of good stuff coming up in August. So, all right. Well, thanks again, everybody. We will go ahead and wrap up and say good night, and we will see you next week.
Yeah, see you
Bye,
then.
everybody.